talk a moment about the gutters, because we heard from Captain Jim Turner that that was one of the primary ways houses caught on fire from the ember flood.
Yes, dead leaves in the gutter, just the perfect bed for embers to fall into and start the roof on fire.
Now, depending upon your budget, this might be something to consider. This is a leaf guard gutter system, so how this works is the water flows over and into the gutter, but the leaves cannot accumulate in the gutter. If you keep the leaves out of this portion, they also won't be in your downspouts.
Right.
So if you're going to put one of these on, a good time is to do one when you're replacing the roof. So if you had something that was a very flammable roof,
Yes.
especially a shake roof,
An old wood shake roof, yes.
that needs to go.
It does, yeah.
That's just like a fire torch ready to go off.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to be replacing your roof, a time to consider this is at that time, because it would be more cost efficient to go do it that way.
Yes.
But if you have a lot of hanging trees around your area and you're constantly struggling to keep them out, or if you're older and now you've got the danger of you're trying to climb up the ladder to clean them out and you really shouldn't be doing that anymore,
Right.
this should probably be a high consideration of a home improvement.
Very much so. And I can tell you from where we live, our house is surrounded by pine trees and oak, and our brand of covered gutter has an even narrower slot than this, and leaves and pine needles can still get in there. It's amazing how they will just magically float down and get themselves in there. So over time you still might get a few things in there, but at least the whole encasement is metal, and even if an ember went in there, it wouldn't be able to do much.
It would lack the ability with the fuel
Right.
to be able to catch
Right.
on fire. At least the top is completely covered.
At least the top is complete. In some brands of covered gutters, you can get some that are basically mesh across the top. And that's another option for people who can't afford to go with this entire model, is you can get wire mesh screening sort of stuff to go on top of a normal flat gutter, and that will help keep things off.
Right.
And you can get the little poofy ball on a long stick and
Yes.
go out
and brush them off.
Susan, you mentioned earlier there was a lot of architectural items that you needed to consider in your house to make it fire-wise. And right now, this is one example you're pointing out. Could you talk to us about the issues of this eave situation here?
Yes. On this house, you can see where the fireplace chimney, and there's a gap between the back side of the chimney and the siding of the house. And that gap would need to be screened off. You'd want to have somebody come and put, again, your 1/8 inch wire screening to close off that hole, because that would be a perfect place for embers to blow in and catch the siding on fire, and then you've got the house coming down. A lot of people are talking about, not everybody can afford it, but again, something you can do is to box in the eaves, which is putting in an entire layer, solid layer, so you don't have separate eaves, as you can see here, but the whole thing is a solid underneath part. When you do that, you have to be careful not to block your attic vents, because your attic still needs ventilation.
So, Susan, we have heard that everyone who's trying to protect their homes consider seriously replacing their venting system so fire embers can't go through the actual vents and get into underneath the roof and underneath the foundation. So, do you want to talk about these a little bit? Here are some examples of some of the ones that we have.
Right. Vulcan Vents is one brand of this type of vent that is available, and it has a honeycomb material inside that if it gets too hot, either from radiant heat or from embers blowing into it, they will close up. They'll just sort of seal themselves. Even this T111 siding is very common, and it's not the safest kind of siding to have anymore just because of those grooves in the paneling. But it would, it's you really can't just easily change the siding on your house. So you have to do what you can do, and that's pray for the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever you do is an improvement of what you had before.
Something is better than nothing. That's the mantra. Something is better than doing nothing.
Absolutely. Susan, thank you so much. This was so useful.
I'm glad.
There's so many of us that need to get going and get ready.
There is. There's a lot to know and a lot to do, but it's totally doable, and you'll feel so much better once you actually start to get it done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.